We're here on the first morning of the book fair with writer Roger Rosenblat. Roger, your new book, The Boy Detective, is a creative memoir that wanders the city and your life, taking in whatever catches your eye. Did you really want to be a detective when you were a boy?
Chauncey, I was a detective. I followed people around the city, my own neighborhood of Gramercy Park, a small area in downtown New York, and Madison Square above that, a little north of that. I couldn't wear a shoulder holster because kids don't have jackets, as you and I have now. So I jury-rigged a shoulder holster under my polo shirt, put my cap gun in it, and looked like a kid who had snitched a mango from a fruit stand. I was very annoying because I had to let the people know I was following, otherwise nobody would know. And these guys would turn, perfectly innocent people, would turn and see this kid with a mango in his shirt.
When you were conceiving or writing this book, did you have in mind earlier writers like Alfred Kazin, author of Walker in the City, or the essays of Joseph Mitchell?
Not Mitchell, though I certainly admired the essays. If I had Alfred Kazin's book in mind, it was dim. This isn't a memoir in the sense of a sequential memoir where I talk about a life. This is the way I've written my last 3 books, and I have 2 in the pipeline like it, which is I use my life as information for other subjects. And so that's what I did here. And Alfred's was much more a story that went from this to this to this. Wonderful book, but not the kind I wanted to write.
Is the joy of walking in the city, though, is that part of this book?
Absolutely, and walking in general. And I talk a lot about walking. This form of writing allows me to talk about a variety of subjects. I talk about detectives. I talk about the art of walking. I talk about the city itself, and I also talk about my life. But walking in the city, there's nothing like it. I'm sure people from other cities feel the same way, but I'm a New Yorker.
I grew up in a small town, and when I go to New York, I just love to walk. I try to avoid any other kind of transportation. But you grew up there. Does physically walking, the geography of your youth, does that help bring it back to you?
This is exactly how it arose. I was teaching a course in memoir writing at the Manhattan campus of Stony Brook University, which is on 27th Street. And one winter night, I walked out of there, and I realized I was in the neighborhood of my childhood. And then I started to redo it and walk again.
What do you think about Miami? Do you think that's a city that could be walkable?
I think Miami's just stunning. I just love this city. We have very close friends, several close friends now in this city, and so we've been coming down here about 25 years, and I saw the burgeoning growth of the city. There are so many wonderful, it's quite different from New York. Its insistent modernity is different from New York, but that itself is fascinating.
Writing essays or creative nonfiction as satisfying as writing a novel? You've gotten great reviews for every genre you've tried.
I'm not really much of a novelist. I wrote 2 satirical novels that I'm glad people liked, but when you're writing satire, you don't get the layers that you get in a serious book. I can do everything in the form in which I write now, this quasi-memoir form in which I bring in essay writing and a poetic sense or whatever, or that which I possess, as much as I possess, to it. It's taken me a lifetime, Chauncey, to find the form in which I feel most like myself, and now that I've got it, I'm going to hang on to it.
Well, thinking about that form, you teach memoir.
I do.
You do. When you write yourself, do you consciously put into practice the principles you teach, or have you reached the point where you can just wing it and it comes out the way you want?
Teaching writing is tricky because you don't want to impose yourself on somebody else as if to imply, if you write like me, you're going to be fine. So you let whoever it is, the man or woman, give you what's there, and then you run with it. But there are principles about writing, and one of which I wholly believe in and try to teach without shoving it down their throats, that is, the memoir is not about you. I know it sounds odd, but the memoir is about the world you observe and that you understand and that you feel emotionally about and that you think about. But if the memoir were entirely about you, it would just be an exercise in self-indulgence.
Well, I've read a lot of memoirs. I wish you had been their teacher. You have worked with PBS. Yes. Can you tell us what Jim Lehrer is really like?
Gee, he's great. It's funny. A friend was asking me recently, or surprised that he's funny. He's extremely funny, and just a great guy in every possible way. A loyal friend, all that you would ask of a friend. But needless to say, on a serious news show, the most serious news show, they didn't crack a smile. So people are shocked to find out how funny he really is.
Well, you'd know from reading his novels
That's
that he's a funny guy.
Exactly so.
Tell us about your new books, the books you're working on now.
The one I've actually finished is on the subject of love, and again, Chauncey, it's exactly what I described before. I take a subject in which I can use my life as information about this subject, so I talk about that, people I've loved, but it's about also love of country, love of friends, love of places. And it's sort of an extended essay in which I also vary the forms of the sections. I write without chapters of demarcations. I write section after section after section. And like a pitcher, I try to vary it. So if I throw a curve, the next thing I throw is going to be a cutter. The next thing I know is going to be a change, to keep the reader a little off balance, the way a pitcher would want to keep a batter off balance, and let him understand a little late what I've done to him.
Sounds like there might be a baseball book in you.
I would love that sometime.
It's a venerable genre.
That it is, yeah.
Was there any significant differences, anything you had to learn to transfer to writing for TV?
Yes. I've published 3 collections of essays, and although I must have done 600, maybe more, TV essays, not one is in these books. The reason for that, as you would appreciate as a book editor, the reason for that is that when you write for television, you write for the image that they show. In real writing, you create your own images. And so I loved doing the essay. I think we invented the form, actually, on the NewsHour, and appreciated the audience, and needless to say, appreciated the attention. But it wasn't real writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's 10 minutes, right? Yeah. I mean, we can keep talking, but...
You want to have a conclusion?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a general question.
Sure.
Roger, we thank you very much for being with us this morning. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to communicate with our readers online?
I hope that this form that I'm working in is something that readers enjoy. Not everyone will get it. You don't expect everyone to get it. But it depends on the reader being on your side, and then being willing to go along with you on this ride. So if I can get this form the way I want it and continue to write in it, yes, this is a personal appeal to all the readers out there. Stay with me.
Thank you very much, Roger.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being with us.